The research vessel Nautilus cut through the Pacific waves as Dr. Nathan Reed adjusted his microscope, examining yet another disappointing plankton sample. 3 weeks into his expedition studying the effects of warming oceans on marine microorganisms, and his data showed exactly what he feared: rapidly declining biodiversity in even the most remote waters. A sudden violent lurch sent his equipment crashing to the floor. Nathan grabbed the edge of his desk as warning alarms blared throughout the small vessel. Racing to the bridge, he found his research assistant Michael unconscious at the helm, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead. The sky had transformed from clear blue to an otherworldly purple-black, swirling clouds forming patterns he'd never seen in 2 decades at sea. Lightning crackled in impossible colors, deep crimson and electric blue. Something was very wrong. Nathan secured Michael in a bunk and took the helm, but the instruments had gone haywire. The compass spun wildly, and the navigation system displayed nothing but static. Massive waves battered the Nautilus as he fought to keep control. A blinding flash filled the cabin, followed by complete electrical failure. When Nathan's vision cleared, the storm had vanished as suddenly as it appeared. But so had any sign of their location. The familiar shipping lanes and research sites were gone, replaced by an endless expanse of eerily calm water. For 3 days, they drifted. Nathan tended to Michael's concussion while rationing their supplies and attempting futile radio calls. He documented everything in his journal, knowing that if they survived, the scientific community would want answers about the impossible storm. Dawn of the 4th day brought the sight of land, a small island that didn't match any charts. As they approached, Nathan noted strange formations among the tropical vegetation, geometric shapes that seemed too precise to be natural. The island itself appeared to shimmer slightly, as if viewed through heat waves despite the mild temperature. "We should avoid it," Michael warned weakly from his bunk. "Something's not right about that place." But with supplies running low and the Nautilus's engine refusing to start, they had little choice. Nathan carefully navigated to a natural harbor, the water crystal clear to the white sand below. He was securing the boat when he saw it, a faint trail of luminescence cutting through the water toward the beach. Following it led him to a sight that stopped him cold, a massive oval structure, partially buried in the sand, its metallic surface etched with swirling patterns that seemed to move in his peripheral vision. "Hello?" Nathan called out, his scientific mind warring with instinct screaming that he was looking at something impossible. "Is anyone there?" A soft glow emanated from within the structure. As Nathan cautiously approached, a section of the surface simply vanished, revealing a doorway. Inside, he found her. She was humanoid but clearly not human. Her skin had a pearlescent sheen that shifted colors with her movement. Instead of hair, delicate tendrils that resembled fiber optic cables flowed from her head, pulsing with gentle light. She lay unconscious amid scattered pieces of advanced technology, a dark fluid that might have been blood seeping from several wounds. Nathan's first instinct was to run. His second was to document everything. But his third and strongest instinct was to help someone clearly injured and alone. As he knelt beside her, her eyes fluttered open, completely silver except for pupils that contracted into vertical slits as they focused on him. She spoke, her voice melodic but the words unlike any language he'd heard. When he didn't respond, she raised a trembling hand to his temple. The world exploded into color and sensation. Danger. Pursuit. Crash. Hide. Help. The concept slammed into his mind accompanied by fragments of memory, a massive ship, an emergency evacuation, something dark and threatening following through space. Then her strength gave out, and she collapsed into his arms. Nathan knew his life had irrevocably changed. Whatever he'd found, whoever she was, nothing in his years of scientific research had prepared him for this moment. As he carefully lifted her surprisingly light form, he noticed a nameplate on her torn uniform. The symbols shifted before his eyes, rearranging into English letters, Astrid. "Don't worry," he whispered, though he wasn't sure she could hear. "I'll help you." Behind him, the impossible storm clouds were gathering again on the horizon. Whatever had brought them to this island, Nathan suspected their discovery was only the beginning. He hurried back toward the Nautilus, precious cargo in his arms, as the first thunder rolled across the water. The rising sun cast golden rays across the Nautilus's deck as Nathan carefully changed Astrid's bandages. Her wounds were healing at an astonishing rate, the pearlescent skin knitting itself together in ways that defied human medical knowledge. His research assistant Michael kept his distance, alternating between furiously taking notes and staring at their otherworldly guest with undisguised apprehension. "The ship's supplies won't last forever," Michael warned, his voice tight with concern. "And we still have no radio contact with the mainland." Nathan nodded absently, more focused on the strange patterns flowing beneath Astrid's skin, like liquid starlight coursing through transparent veins. When she opened her eyes, their metallic silver gleam no longer startled him as it had during those first critical hours after finding her. Astrid sat up slowly, her fiber-optic tendrils pulsing with soft blues and greens that Nathan was beginning to recognize as signs of healing. She gestured to her throat, then to her temple, requesting permission for telepathic contact. They had discovered this was the easiest way to communicate, though Nathan still found the experience overwhelming. When he nodded, the connection bloomed between them like aurora borealis in his mind. This time, instead of chaotic fragments, Astrid shared clear images and concepts. Nathan learned that she was a xenobiologist, studying life forms across the galaxy. Her people, the Lumini, had been observing Earth for centuries, watching humanity's development with fascination and hope. "Your species," her thoughts whispered in his mind, "so young, yet so resilient. So much potential." But there was darkness in her memories too, shadows of another alien race that saw Earth not as a cradle of emerging intelligence, but as a resource to be harvested. The Lumini had been working secretly to protect Earth, establishing hidden observation posts disguised as natural phenomena. The strange island where they'd landed was one such outpost. As the telepathic connection faded, Nathan found himself staring into Astrid's eyes, seeing the same passion for discovery that drove his own research reflected back at him. She pointed to his microscope, then to herself, her curiosity evident. Over the next few days, they developed their own system of communication, a mixture of simple English words, gestures, and brief telepathic exchanges. Astrid proved to be a brilliant student of human language, while she taught Nathan fundamentals of xenobiology that made his years of research feel like kindergarten drawings. "Your oceans," she said one evening, her English still musical but increasingly comprehensible, "they sing same song as space between stars. All life connected, flowing in patterns." She showed him how to use salvaged equipment from her ship to analyze water samples. The data revealed patterns in marine ecosystems that human science hadn't even begun to understand. Together, they documented everything, filling Nathan's research journals with a combination of Earth science and alien knowledge. But their work was interrupted by periodic bursts of energy from the island's interior. Each time, Astrid's tendrils would dim with worry, and she would spend hours at her crashed ship's communication array, attempting to contact her people. "Why do you risk helping me?" she asked during one quiet moment, as they watched the sun set from the Nautilus's bow. "Many humans would treat me as specimen, not person." Nathan considered her question carefully. The last rays of sunlight played across her otherworldly features, creating rainbow refractions that danced across the deck. "Because it was right," he said finally. "Because discovery isn't just about collecting data, it's about understanding. And because I think humanity has as much to learn from your people as you've learned from watching us." Astrid's tendrils brightened with what Nathan now recognized as pleasure. She reached for his temple, sharing not information this time, but pure emotion, gratitude, trust, and something warmer that made his pulse quicken. Their moment of connection was shattered by a deep tremor that shook the entire island. The geometric structures in the distance began pulsing with an ominous red light. Astrid leaped to her feet, her skin flickering with patterns Nathan had never seen before. "They're coming," she whispered, fear evident in every syllable. "The Shadowkin have found us." Michael burst onto the deck, pointing at strange dark shapes emerging from the churning waters around the island. The mysterious sanctuary that had sheltered them was about to become a battlefield, and Nathan realized their discovery of each other was only the beginning of a much larger story. The dark shapes rising from the water resembled manta rays made of living shadow, their edges rippling like smoke against the evening sky. Nathan grabbed his research camera, documenting the impossible sight even as Astrid pulled him toward her crashed ship. "Shadowkin scout drones," she explained hurriedly, her tendrils pulsing with urgent reds and violets. "They track quantum signatures. My ship's core is leaking energy." Inside the oval craft, Astrid's fingers danced across control panels that responded to her touch with flowing light. Nathan watched in amazement as holographic displays filled the air around them, showing the island and surrounding waters in stunning detail. Multiple red dots approached their position from different directions. Michael stumbled in behind them, clutching his tablet. "I'm picking up massive energy fluctuations from those structures on the island. They're not just geometric shapes, they're some kind of technology." Astrid nodded grimly. "Defense systems. But damaged, like everything else here." She turned to Nathan, her silver eyes intense. "The Shadowkin cannot find this place. Too many Earth secrets hidden here. Too dangerous if they access the data cores." The island shuddered again as the first of the shadow ray creatures reached the beach. Where they touched the sand, all light seemed to drain away, leaving patches of absolute darkness. Nathan felt a chill that went beyond physical cold. These things were wrong in a way his human mind struggled to comprehend. "We need to reach the central spire," Astrid said, pointing to the tallest of the geometric structures. "Control center there. Maybe can reactivate defensive shields." They ran through the darkening jungle, following paths that seemed to shift and change around them. Nathan realized the entire island was artificial, a massive alien research facility disguised as a natural formation. The trees themselves were sophisticated biological sensors, their leaves processing and transmitting data about Earth's biosphere. As they reached the base of the central spire, Astrid's skin began to glow brighter, resonating with the technology around them. She pressed her hand to a seemingly solid wall, and an entrance appeared. Inside, banks of crystal computers lined the walls, their surfaces covered in the same flowing symbols Nathan had seen on her ship. "Years of research here," Astrid explained as she worked. "Studies of Earth's development, climate, species evolution. Shadowkin would use data to identify weaknesses, vulnerable points for invasion." Michael was examining the crystals with professional interest. "These patterns, they're not just decoration. They're some kind of biological digital hybrid system, aren't they?" Before Astrid could answer, one of the shadow creatures phased through the wall. Up close, Nathan could see it wasn't entirely solid, its form rippled and flowed like oil on water, with occasional glimpses of complex machinery within. The temperature plunged as it oriented toward them. Astrid's hands flew across the control surfaces. "Need more time. Defensive protocols almost restored." Nathan grabbed a piece of broken equipment and hurled it at the creature. It passed straight through, but the action drew its attention. The shadow ray turned toward him, revealing something like an eye, a deep void that seemed to pull at his very essence. "Hey," he shouted, backing away. "You want to study Earth? Start with me." The creature surged forward, but Nathan had spent years on ships and research stations. He ducked and rolled, leading it away from Astrid and Michael. His heart pounded as he felt the cold emptiness pursuing him, but every second bought was another second for Astrid to work. Through their growing connection, he sensed her racing thoughts and feelings, worry for his safety warring with determination to complete her task. The crystals around them pulsed faster, resonating with her urgency. Suddenly, Familiar musical tones filled the air, but not from Astrid. The crystal computers were singing, their surfaces blazing with light. The shadow creature recoiled as energy began pouring from the walls. Defense grid online. Astrid shouted triumphantly. But her victory was interrupted by new alarms. The holographic displays showed larger shapes descending from orbit, Shadowkin capital ships, their massive forms blotting out the stars. They're not just here for the island, Michael realized, checking his tablet's readings. These energy signatures, they're charging weapons. Astrid's tendrils dimmed with horror. Planetary sterilization protocol. If they cannot have Earth's secrets. She turned to Nathan, sharing a burst of desperate inspiration through their connection. There might be a way to stop them. But is dangerous. Could kill us all. Nathan met her silver gaze, seeing both fear and determination there. They had moved beyond researcher and subject, beyond even their growing personal connection. Now they stood together at a turning point in human history, though the rest of Earth slept unaware of the danger above. Whatever you need, he said firmly. I'm with you. Around them, the island's crystals sang louder as shadow creatures pressed in from all sides. In orbit, the Shadowkin ships took up attack positions. And in the control center of an alien research facility, a human marine biologist and a Lumini xenobiologist prepared to make their stand. The crystal control room hummed with energy as Astrid's fingers flew across glowing surfaces, her skin pulsing in sync with the alien technology. Through their telepathic connection, Nathan felt her racing thoughts, complex calculations and desperate plans colliding like waves in a storm. The island's quantum core, she explained, projecting images into his mind of an intricate energy matrix buried deep beneath them. It powers everything, defenses, cloaking, research systems. Could overload it, create quantum shockwave. Disable Shadowkin ships. And us along with them? Michael asked, watching the holographic displays where more shadow creatures converged on their position. Astrid's tendrils dimmed. Worse. Shockwave could tear hole in spacetime. Island, surrounding ocean, all would be pulled through. No way to predict where we'd emerge. If we survive. Nathan studied the complex equations flowing across the crystal screens. His years of scientific training helped him grasp the basics. They were talking about essentially creating a localized wormhole to stop the invasion. The risk was enormous, but so were the stakes. The facility shuddered as the Shadowkin ships began their initial bombardment. Through gaps in the ceiling, Nathan saw energy beams slicing through clouds, systematically destroying the island's outer defenses. How long until they start targeting population centers? He asked. Hours at most, Astrid replied. They will eliminate all witnesses, then begin resource extraction. Her silver eyes met his. Your oceans would die first. Then the land. Then your people. Nathan thought of his years studying marine ecosystems, watching them decline despite his best efforts to raise awareness. He'd always known humanity was damaging Earth's biosphere, but now faced with its potential complete destruction. Show me what you need me to do, he said firmly. Astrid's skin brightened with surprise and gratitude. Through their connection, she quickly shared instructions. They would need to reach the quantum core chamber and manually initiate the overload while Michael coordinated from the control room. As they prepared to leave, Michael grabbed Nathan's arm. This is insane. We're marine biologists, not action heroes. We should be documenting this, warning people. There won't be anyone left to warn if we fail, Nathan replied. He handed over his research journals. But you're right about documentation. Get this to the surface if you can. The world needs to know what happened here, one way or another. The journey down to the core chamber was like descending into a bioluminescent dream. The walls themselves seemed alive, pulsing with energy patterns that responded to Astrid's presence. Nathan realized the entire facility was a hybrid of technology and engineered life, far beyond anything humans had imagined possible. They reached a vast spherical chamber where a miniature sun seemed to hover in a containment field. The quantum core's light shifted through colors Nathan's mind couldn't quite process, casting impossible shadows. "Beautiful," he whispered. "Yes," Astrid agreed, but she was looking at him rather than the core. Through their connection, he felt her turmoil. "Nathan, the calculations. I wasn't entirely honest. There is way to contain explosion, direct shockwave. But would require living consciousness to guide it." He understood immediately. "You're planning to link yourself to the core." Her tendrils rippled with sad confirmation. "My people's gift, we can merge with technology, become one with it. Could focus the energy, protect Earth. But you wouldn't survive," Nathan finished. The thought sent a spike of pain through his chest that had nothing to do with their telepathic connection. Before she could respond, shadows began seeping through the chamber walls. The Shadowkin had found them. Astrid turned toward the core, but Nathan caught her arm. In that moment of contact, their connection deepened beyond anything they'd shared before. He felt everything, her dedication to protecting Earth, her growing feelings for him, her fear not of death but of dying alone, so far from home. And she felt his determination, his wonder at the universe she'd revealed to him, and something else that made her tendrils glow like starlight. "Together," he said firmly. "Your people can merge with technology, but humans adapt. We survive. We keep going no matter the odds." He gripped her hand tighter. "You guide the energy, I'll anchor you. Two perspectives, two species, working as one." Astrid's eyes widened. "Never been attempted. Cross-species merge, could destroy both our minds." Nathan smiled. "Like you said, humans have potential." The shadow creatures surged forward as Astrid pulled him toward the core. Their hands intertwined, flesh and light seeming to merge. The quantum energy reached for them with tendrils of pure possibility. Through their strengthened bond, Nathan sent a single thought: "Trust me." Astrid's response came not in words but in pure emotion as she dropped her final mental barriers. Their consciousness began to merge just as the core's light engulfed them both. Above, the Shadowkin ships prepared their final attack. Below, the ocean waited. And in a chamber between worlds, two beings from vastly different origins reached for each other and stepped into the light. Light became thought, and thought became light. Nathan couldn't tell where his consciousness ended and Astrid's began as they merged with the quantum core. Their combined awareness expanded outward, encompassing the entire island facility and the space above it. They were everywhere and everything, the crystalline computers singing their ancient songs, the engineered jungle pulsing with data, the defense systems fighting against the encroaching shadows. Through Astrid's knowledge and Nathan's human adaptability, they learned to navigate this new state of existence. The Shadowkin ships, Nathan thought/felt, his human mind struggling to process the multiple levels of awareness. They're starting their final attack run. Yes, Astrid's consciousness entwined with his. But now we can see them properly. See what they truly are. Their shared perception pierced the void, revealing the terrible truth. The Shadowkin weren't just invaders, they were wounds in reality itself, beings that had sacrificed their own dimension's life force for power. Their ships were not constructed but grown from the darkness between stars, powered by consumed light. Through their connection, Nathan understood why they hunted worlds like Earth, not just for resources, but to fill the endless void within themselves. They were cosmic parasites, consuming entire biospheres in their eternal hunger. We can stop them, Astrid's thoughts rippled through their shared consciousness. But the power required, even merged, we might not survive. Nathan's response came not in words but in pure human determination. He felt Astrid's equivalent of a smile as their merged being began to draw upon the quantum core's energy. Above, Michael watched in awe from the control room as light began pouring from every crystal, every leaf, every grain of sand on the island. The holographic displays showed energy readings far beyond their capacity to measure. The Shadowkin ships opened fire, their dark energy weapons attempting to destroy the island before their prey could escape. But as their beams struck the quantum barrier forming around the facility, something unprecedented happened. Light and shadow met, not in destruction, but in transformation. Nathan and Astrid's merged consciousness channeled the quantum energy not to create a weapon, but to offer healing. The Shadowkin, for all their power, had never encountered anything like the combination of Lumini understanding and human empathy. "Your hunger can end," they projected toward the dark ships. "Let us help you remember the light." For a moment that stretched into eternity, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Shadow Ray creatures began to change. The void within them filled with quantum energy, transformed by the merged consciousness of two beings from different worlds who had chosen to trust each other completely. The Shadowkin ships hung suspended as their crews experienced something they had forgotten eons ago, the possibility of existence without consuming others. Some fled immediately, unable to face this truth. Others remained, their darkness slowly giving way to luminescence. But the strain on Nathan and Astrid was immense. The quantum core pulsed with warning frequencies as reality itself bent around them. "We have to separate," Astrid's thoughts were becoming fragmented. Power overwhelming neural pathways. "No." Nathan held on to their connection with all his human stubbornness. "We do this together. You're not alone anymore." In the control room, Michael worked frantically to stabilize the systems as energy alarms blared. The island structure was beginning to break down at the molecular level, crystal lattices shattering under the quantum strain. Deep in the core chamber, Nathan and Astrid's physical forms had become pure light, held together only by their shared consciousness and determination. As the quantum energy reached critical levels, time seemed to stop. In that frozen moment, they became aware of new presences, vast and ancient consciousness reaching down from the stars. The Lumini had finally arrived, drawn by the unprecedented energy signature of their merged beings. "Choose," the ancient minds communicated. "We can save you, but the connection must be broken. Or remain merged, but your physical forms will not survive." Through their link, Nathan felt Astrid's longing for her people, her duty to return and share what she had learned about humanity's potential. He felt her pain at the thought of separation, matched by his own. But he also felt something stronger, the certainty that what they had found together couldn't be broken by mere physical distance. Their merger had changed them both permanently, opening neural pathways that would never fully close. "Live," he told her, suffusing the thought with all his human capacity for love and hope. "Live and remember. I'll be waiting." Astrid's response was a burst of emotion beyond words, a promise beyond language. Then she began carefully disentangling their merged consciousness, using her Lumini training to ensure both their minds remained intact. The last thing Nathan experienced before losing consciousness was a final shared vision, Earth's oceans teeming with renewed life, the Shadowkin threat transformed, and two beings from different worlds forever connected by their choice to trust in the unknown. When he awoke on the Nautilus's deck days later, the island was gone as if it had never existed. But his connection to the stars remained, along with the crystal shard in his pocket that pulsed with familiar patterns of light. Somewhere up there, Astrid was helping her people understand what she had discovered about humanity. And somewhere in the vast ocean of space and time, two consciousnesses remained linked by something stronger than mere physics, the power of two different species choosing to believe in each other. Michael handed him his research journals, now filled with proof of everything they had witnessed. "What do we do now?" Nathan smiled, feeling the distant warmth of a silver-eyed consciousness touching his thoughts. Now we help humanity get ready. We're not alone in the universe, and we never will be again."